You are sitting here, maybe in a familiar room, maybe in a strange place. But in your heart, there is a weariness that no one understands. Today, Jesus wants to meet you and take you on a special journey. Maybe you've scrolled for hours trying to quiet the ache. Maybe silence has become louder than words. Maybe your heart feels like a locked room filled with questions, with pain, with the unbearable weight of being unseen. But someone sees you. Tonight, Jesus invites you on a journey beyond this moment, beyond the walls of your room, your routine, your fears. A journey through the fog of loneliness, into a space where peace begins to breathe again. If you can, whisper a prayer or share in the comments where you're listening from how you're feeling. Because right now, Jesus is opening the first door of peace. He puts his hand on your shoulder, and suddenly the air shifts. The fog begins to lift. You feel the warmth of desert wind brushing your cheeks. The sand beneath your feet is hot, unfamiliar. You're standing on the edge of wilderness, empty, dry, silent, but not alone. You see her first curled beneath a dry shrub, a young woman, weeping. Her body trembles. Her shoulders rise with every sob. Her name is Hagar. Jesus walks beside you, his eyes fixed on her. She ran because she believed no one cared. He says softly, but she was wrong. You draw closer. Hagar's eyes, rimmed with dust and tears, look up as if hearing something. You hear it too, a voice, gentle, divine. Hagar, servant of Sarai, where have you come from? And where are you going? You freeze. He knows her name, her pain, her journey. Hagar stammers, I'm running. I'm alone. The voice replies, not to judge, but to promise. I will increase your descendants so much that they will be too numerous to count. A covenant for a woman the world had discarded. Hope spoken in the middle of nowhere. Jesus turns to you. You know this feeling. He says, don't you? Your chest tightens. Yes. You've felt invisible, passed over, forgotten. You've cried into pillows no one knew were soaked. You've smiled in rooms while screaming inside. You've wondered if even God saw you. He whispers, "But I saw you in that night when no one answered your message. I saw when your heart broke behind your smile. I see all of you." You watch Hagar now, standing taller. Her lips tremble as she utters a name that still echoes through eternity. El Roi, the God who sees me. Jesus nods. That is who I am. To her, to you. In that desert, a forgotten woman builds an altar. Not because her pain disappeared, but because she was no longer invisible. You watch as she walks back toward her future. Not the same girl who ran away. She walks back, seen, called, loved. Jesus touches your shoulder again. Come, child. Let's keep walking. Like Hagar, you've run. Maybe not with your feet, but in your heart. You've hidden. You've doubted if anyone noticed the ache under your brave face. But Jesus is here, not to rebuke you for your running, but to whisper your name. He calls you gently. Where have you come from? And where are you going? You don't have to answer perfectly. You don't have to fix everything. You only have to look up and meet his eyes, because in them you'll see a reflection of Hagar's moment and yours. He says to you now, "As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love." John 15:9. His love does not require you to be strong, or together, or worthy. Just present. This is the beginning of peace, not found in having it all figured out, but in knowing someone truly sees you and stays. You breathe, maybe for the first time today. The wind shifts again. It carries his presence, and your next step. A door opens ahead, glowing softly. Jesus turns and says with a smile, "There's more healing ahead. Come." You follow. The night feels heavier now, not because of silence, but because of memory. You've made choices you wish you hadn't. Words you can't take back. Moments that replay again and again. Each one pressing down like stones in your chest. You try to smile, try to move on, but deep down, shame whispers, "You are what you've done." You're tired of pretending, tired of carrying it. Jesus doesn't speak right away. He just stands beside you, knowing. Then softly, he says, "Let me show you something." You nod, just enough. And in that moment, the world around you dissolves. You feel cobblestone beneath your feet, damp with night dew. The sky above is black. Torches flicker on stone walls, casting trembling shadows. You're in Jerusalem, in a courtyard behind the high priest's house. Voices echo, accusations, jeers. Somewhere nearby, Jesus is being questioned, beaten. You see a figure huddled by a fire. Peter. His face is pale. His eyes dart, desperate. Fear clings to him like sweat. He doesn't want to be seen. Then, a servant girl points at him. "You were with him." Peter shakes his head. "I don't know what you're talking about." Again and again, 3 times. The third, more forceful than the rest. "I swear I don't know him." And then the rooster crows. Time slows. Peter turns toward the sound, and so does Jesus. They lock eyes, and everything breaks. Peter stumbles away, covering his face. Sobs tear through his chest. You follow him to a corner where he falls to his knees. Ashamed, shattered. You feel it. His regret is your regret. Jesus steps beside you. "Do you see him?" He whispers. This is not the end of Peter's story, and it's not the end of yours. You look at Peter, his tears, his trembling, but you also remember this man would become a pillar of the church, the preacher of Pentecost, the forgiven one. Jesus whispers again, "When I looked at him that night, I wasn't surprised. I had already chosen him, knowing he would fall." You inhale sharply, "And I've chosen you too." Like Peter, you said things you regret. You've broken promises to others, to God, maybe even to yourself. You've tried to bury it, distract from it, make up for it. But shame never lets you breathe. Now, Jesus speaks to that place in you, the place that hides. Child, I do not love you less because of your mistakes. I laid my life down knowing them. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. John 15:13. You feel his presence, not condemning, but surrounding. His forgiveness is not a distant idea. It's here, now, waiting to be received. He kneels beside you, like he did with Peter. Do you love me? He asks not as a test, but as an invitation back into his arms. You nod through your tears. He smiles. Then let's walk on. The weight on your chest lifts slightly. Maybe not gone completely, but lighter. This is what grace feels like. You step forward with him, not because you're perfect, but because you're loved. Another door opens. The path ahead glows faintly. He looks at you gently. You don't have to carry shame into the next room. I've carried it already. You take his hand and walk forward freer. You're tired, not just in your body, but deep in your soul. Tired of trying to prove you're worthy, to be seen, to be valued, to be enough. You've tried doing more, being more, smiling bigger, praying harder, but no matter how much you give, it still feels like you fall short. You wonder, what if I'm only loved when I succeed? What if I have to earn it again and again? Jesus is quiet beside you for a moment. Then he says gently, "Let me take you somewhere." You close your eyes, and the pressure, the expectation, the noise begin to fade. The air smells of grass and sheep. You're standing in the hills outside Bethlehem. The sun hangs low in the sky, painting the fields gold. You hear the quiet bleating of sheep in the distance. A boy kneels nearby, his hands calloused, a sling hanging from his side. He hums a psalm under his breath. David. He's young, maybe 17. Dirt on his hands, sweat on his brow, but peace on his face. Suddenly, voices echo from the edge of the field. A man approaches Samuel, the prophet. He's come to anoint the next king of Israel. You watch as Jesse, David's father, proudly lines up 7 strong sons. Samuel walks past each one, measuring their height, their strength, and yet God says no. To each one, you glance at Jesus beside you. Then someone finally asks, "Is that all?" Jesse shrugs. "Well, there's the youngest. He's out with the sheep, the forgotten one, the unseen." Samuel says, "Bring him." You watch as David enters the scene, dusty, unaware, unpolished. But when Samuel sees him, his eyes fill. This is the one, God says. Jesus leans close and whispers, "The world saw a shepherd, but I saw a king." You look again. David isn't striving, isn't campaigning, isn't trying to prove himself. He's just available. And God chooses him not because of his strength or title, but because of his heart. You know that feeling, being passed over, underappreciated, unnoticed. You've seen others chosen first. You've wondered what's wrong with you. You've believed the lie. If I could just be more, maybe I'd be worthy. But tonight, Jesus says otherwise. Man looks at the outward appearance. He tells you, but I look at the heart. He places his hand gently over your heart, the one that tries so hard, the one that quietly breaks. I see what no one else sees. You've been trying to earn what I already gave you, my love. You stand still, unsure if you can let go of the performance. He speaks again, soft but firm. You are not valuable because of what you can do. You are valuable because you are mine. You inhale deep. Something inside you loosens. You don't have to prove anything here. Jesus steps in front of you and smiles. Come with me, chosen one. Not a label of pressure, a name of peace. You walk with him again, the path now winding through wild flowers and stillness. Every step away from striving feels like air entering places you didn't know were suffocating. A new door stands ahead, carved into stone. He gestures toward it. You don't have to earn the next chapter. He says, just receive it. And with that, you walk through. lighter than before. You don't know what's next. You've tried to plan, to stay in control, but lately, everything feels like a fog. The questions are louder than the answers. You pray, but the silence lingers. You look at your life like a map with no directions, so you wait, anxious, tired, alone in the unknown. Jesus sees the hesitation in your eyes. I know the way, even when you don't, he says. He reaches out his hand again, and you take it. This time, the ground seems to shift beneath you, soft, slow, like sand beneath bare feet. You look up. You're standing beneath a desert sky. It's night. The silence is deep, ancient. The stars above you blaze more than you've ever seen. Too many to count, like diamonds scattered across heaven's fabric. Beside a quiet tent, an old man stands alone, his face lifted toward the sky. It's Abraham. He's weathered by years. His hands are empty, his heart full of longing. God had promised him a child, a legacy, a future. But the years have passed, and still nothing. He whispers into the silence, "How? Lord, how can this be?" And then you hear it, God's voice, clear as wind. Look up at the sky and count the stars, if indeed you can count them. So shall your offspring be. Abraham swallows hard. You can feel the ache in his chest and the flicker of trust rising to meet it. He believes, not because he sees the path, but because he knows the one who promised. Jesus steps beside you now and speaks quietly. He believed without seeing, and I was faithful. You look again at the stars. They seem to sing of promises yet to be born. Like Abraham, you're in between where you were and where you're going, the middle place, the waiting place, the uncertain place. It's tempting to doubt in the silence, to assume God has forgotten, to feel like your prayers are drifting into a sky too high to reach. But Jesus wants you to know He has not forgotten you. He holds your past, your present, and yes, even this foggy unknown. He turns to you with kindness in his eyes. Am the God who leads, not the God who demands that you know the answers, not the God who shames you for your fear, but the one who walks with you through it, whispering each next step. You feel him take your hand again, his grip steady. Will you trust me even when you don't see? You close your eyes beneath the same stars Abraham saw, and in the quiet, you find something unexpected: peace. Not because everything is clear now, but because he is near. He doesn't promise to show the whole road. He promises to walk every inch of it with you. The stars shimmer once more before fading into morning light. You're still in motion, still uncertain, but not alone. Ahead, another path appears through the sand. Jesus turns to you and says, "Let's keep walking. Child of promise, I'm not done yet." And so you go forward, not with clarity, but with trust, and that is enough. You hesitate now. Part of you wonders if this journey is even for you. You've lost time, years maybe. You've burned bridges, made choices you regret. You think maybe this peace he talks about, it's for others, not for someone like me. You walk slower, trailing behind him. Shame creeps in again. Not loud, just steady. He stops, turns, looks at you. Come, he says gently. I want to show you something. And with that, the air shifts. The ground beneath your feet trembles slightly, then falls silent. You're standing in a vast valley. It's lifeless, dry. Everywhere you look, bones, scattered, bleached by sun and time. A graveyard without graves. The silence here feels eternal. You feel the hopelessness press on your chest. These bones aren't just dead. They've been dead a long time. Forgotten. Beyond help. Jesus stands beside you. This, he says softly, is how your heart feels sometimes. You don't deny it. Then you hear it. A whisper of wind, a stirring. It starts at the edges of the valley, then sweeps through like breath. And suddenly, the bones begin to rattle. One by one, they draw together, bone to bone. You watch in awe as sinews form, then flesh. From dust and death, bodies begin to rise, but they're still lifeless until another sound moves through the valley. It's wind again, but deeper, holy breath. You feel it pass through you, warm, alive, and then they live. What was once a valley of ruin is now a standing army. Jesus turns to you. His voice is steady, filled with power. Nothing is beyond my restoring love. You look down at your own heart, the parts that have felt dry, wasted, long gone, and somehow you feel breath move inside them too. You've believed the lie. It's too late. I've gone too far. I've lost too much. But today Jesus speaks something stronger. I am the God who restores, not just patches things up, not just gives second chances. He resurrects even what you buried long ago, even what you thought would never breathe again. You think of your past, the brokenness, the pain, the empty years, and you wonder, could he really rebuild something from all that he answers before you speak because of my great love for you? Even when you were dead in your transgressions, I made you alive. Ephesians 2, verse 5. This is not the end of your story. Not while he is still writing it. You place your hand over your chest and you realize your heart is beating differently now. Hope is there, not full grown, but real, present. Jesus looks at the valley once more, then back at you. What I did for these bones, I will do for you. The wind swirls again, carrying the scent of fresh air, of beginning. You step forward, and something shifts deep within a belief. Small, but sure. Maybe restoration isn't for others only. Maybe it's for me too. He walks beside you again, not rushing, just near, ahead. Another door appears, this one carved into the side of a high rock. You glance back at the valley one more time. It no longer looks like a graveyard. It looks like a testimony. He touches your shoulder. Let's keep walking. God of mercy. Grace waits ahead, and you follow him toward new life. The storm isn't just around you, It's in you. Everything feels like it's crashing at once. Emotions spinning, circumstances you can't control. Questions that don't stop, people you counted on. Gone. Hope. Somewhere behind the clouds. You've cried out, but heaven seems silent. You whisper into the chaos, "Where are you?" Lord Jesus turns to you, his eyes calm. Come, let me show you what happens in the storm. The wind begins to howl, and suddenly the air turns cold. The ground gives way beneath you, and the sea swallows everything. You're on a boat now. Waves tower on every side, dark, relentless. Wind lashes your face. The sky is black, split by flashes of lightning. The boat lurches and groans, wood cracking under pressure. Water rushes in. Terror grips you. You aren't alone. The disciples are here, two gripping ropes, crying out, soaked and shivering. Panic is written across every face. "We're going to die," someone shouts. "Where is he?" You turn and see him, asleep. Jesus, asleep in the stern. You stare in disbelief. How can he sleep in this? The disciples rush to him, shaking him awake. "Lord, don't you care that we're perishing?" He rises slowly, peaceful, steady. The storm still screams, but he doesn't. Instead, he speaks. Only 3 words. Peace. Be still. And just like that, the waves flatten. The wind dies. The rain ceases. Silence. Stillness. A peace so sudden it steals your breath. Your heart, once thundering with fear, begins to slow. He looks out over the sea, then at each terrified disciple, and now at you. "Why were you afraid?" he asks. "Do you still not trust me?" But there's no anger in his tone, only sadness and invitation. You've had your own storms. The diagnosis, the betrayal, the breakdown, the silence from heaven when you needed answers the most. You asked, "Don't you care?" because it felt like he was sleeping. But today, he wants you to know he was there. He never left the boat. He says to you now, with a voice more powerful than the wind. Though the mountains be shaken and the hills be removed, yet my unfailing love for you will not be shaken, nor my covenant of peace be removed. Isaiah 54:10. He's not just present in the peace, He commands it. You realize something. Peace isn't the absence of the storm. Peace is the presence of Jesus in it. You look at Him now, standing tall above the sea, robes still damp, eyes still gentle. He smiles as you meet His gaze. Peace, my child. Even this will not destroy you. You breathe deeply. The scent of salt and sky surrounds you. The boat no longer shakes. The water rocks gently, like a cradle now, instead of a coffin. You're still here. He's still here. And the storm has become the setting for a miracle. The sea begins to carry the boat forward softly, steadily toward a shore in the distance. There's a door there, wooden, weathered, shaped like a cross. Jesus sits beside you on the edge of the boat, eyes on the horizon. You're learning to trust. He says. You nod, tears mixing with sea spray. Not because everything is perfect, but because you believe again He's still in control. And the journey continues. There are parts of you no one sees, secrets you've buried, wounds that never healed properly, moments you replay in the quiet, then quickly silence before they swallow you whole. You've learned how to smile and keep things hidden, but deep down, you're carrying something too heavy for one heart to bear. Jesus doesn't rush you. He simply whispers, "Let's go to the well." And then the world shifts again. The sun is hot, relentless. You find yourself in dusty land, far from crowds. It's noon. No one fetches water at this hour, except her. A woman walks slowly toward a well, her head low. Her steps are careful, her shoulders tired. She doesn't expect anyone to be there. But Jesus is waiting. He sits by the well, as if He knew she'd come. You stand back and watch. She approaches, startled to find Him there. A Jew, a man. She's a Samaritan, a woman, rejected, judged, used up still. He speaks, "Will you give me a drink?" She blinks in disbelief. "You're asking me for water." He nods gently. "If you knew who I was, you'd ask me for water, living water." She's curious, but guarded. They talk, not just about water, but about her life, her pain, her past. Jesus names every detail without accusation. 5 husbands, a man who isn't her husband now. Her mouth parts in shock. How could he know? And why is he still talking to her? You feel it too, that ache of being known, exposed, vulnerable. But he doesn't turn away. He doesn't shame. Instead, his eyes hold something sacred. "I know it all," he says to her, "and I still want you. You've carried wounds you never told anyone about. Parts of your story even you can't fully face. But Jesus already knows. He saw the night you broke, the moment you made that choice you wish you could undo, the way you learned to hide just to survive. And today, he meets you here, not to shame you, but to free you. He sits beside you now, by your own well of silence and pain. His voice is quiet, yet strong. "I have loved you with an everlasting love. I have drawn you with unfailing kindness." Jeremiah 31:3. You let that sink in. He's not surprised by what's in your heart. He already chose to love you. He already came to rescue you. You feel the shift in your soul. Something locked for years loosens. Then he offers you water, not from a jar, but from his Spirit. Water that cleanses, restores, renews. You reach out and drink, and something inside begins to live again. You turn to look for the woman, but she's already running back to town, shouting with joy, "Come, see a man who told me everything I've ever done, and still welcomed me." You understand her now. You feel her freedom. You're not hiding anymore. Jesus stands, offering his hand. And this time, you don't hesitate. You rise. No shame, no pretending. Just you and the one who knows everything and loves you anyway. A breeze stirs the desert air, lifting your hair like a whisper of grace. Ahead, the path winds gently toward the next place of healing. Come, he says again, smiling. You follow, lighter, seen, loved. There's an ache in your chest that doesn't go away. A silence where laughter used to be. A presence missing at the table. In the photos. In the future you imagined. Grief doesn't shout. It just sits. Heavy. Quiet. Constant. The world keeps moving, but something in you feels frozen. You've learned how to smile again, but it never reaches all the way in. Jesus sees that invisible wound. He doesn't ask you to cover it. Instead, he gently takes your hand and whispers, "Come with me." The light bends, the air cools, and time begins to move backwards. You're in a small town now, Bethany. Dust clings to the edges of your robe. You hear weeping, not loud, just raw. The kind of sorrow that's lived in someone's chest for days. A crowd gathers around a house. You walk with Jesus through it. Inside, a woman named Martha greets him, her voice shaking. "Lord, if you had been here, my brother wouldn't have died." He nods, not dismissing her grief, not explaining it away. Then Mary appears. She doesn't speak at first. She just falls at his feet and sobs. You feel it, the pain, the disappointment, the deep cry. Why didn't you come sooner? Jesus doesn't defend himself. He doesn't rush past her sorrow. He weeps. Tears spill from his eyes. The Son of God, weeping. You glance at him, stunned. He turns to you, eyes filled with the same grief you've carried. "I do not avoid your pain," he says. "I enter it." Then, through the tears, he speaks. "Where have you laid him?" The crowd follows. You do too. They stop in front of a tomb. A stone blocks the entrance. Jesus says, "Take it away." There's hesitation. It's been 4 days. But he insists. And when the stone is rolled back, he looks up and cries out with authority, "Lazarus, come out." For a moment, silence, then a stir, a shuffle, and from the shadows of death, Lazarus walks out, alive, wrapped in grave clothes, but alive. You stand frozen. Joy and disbelief wrestle in your chest. The crowd gasps. Mary cries again, but this time from joy. Martha trembles. Laughter and praise rise in the air. Jesus turns to you slowly. You've lost much, he says gently. But loss does not have the final word. You want to believe him, but it's hard. So much has already been buried. He steps closer. I am the resurrection and the life. John 11:25. He doesn't promise every pain will be undone today, but he does promise this. He will walk with you through it, not around it, and nothing is too far gone for him to breathe life into again. You think of what you've lost, the people, the dreams, the what could have been, and somehow, standing here beside this empty tomb, you sense this truth. Sorrow may shape you, but it does not define you. There is more ahead. Tears still fall, but hope stands beside them now. He takes your hand again, like he did Mary's. It's okay to cry. He says, just don't stop walking. You nod, because though grief still lingers, so does he. And as long as he is with you, this story isn't over. You turn toward the road once more. The next door appears ahead, woven into the roots of an olive tree. You look back one last time at the stone rolled away. It reminds you, love is stronger than death. You breathe deep and walk forward with him, still healing, still held, still walking toward life. You've tried. You've believed before. You've prayed, served, hoped. But somewhere along the way, you fell hard. And even though no one may know the full story, you do. So does he. And now, there's this heavy silence between you and Jesus. You assume he's distant, disappointed, maybe done with you, but then he walks beside you again, not saying much, just walking until the sound of waves and the scent of smoke fill the air. The scene begins to change. You're now on a quiet shoreline. The sun has barely risen, painting gold across the sea. It's peaceful, but your chest isn't. It tightens when you see him standing near a small fire, its flames flickering. You notice someone else already sitting there. It's Peter, and his eyes are haunted like someone who remembers every moment of his failure. You know that look. Jesus breaks the silence. Come, sit. You do. He's cooking breakfast fish and bread over hot coals. The smell fills the air. It's not what you expected from a holy confrontation. No scolding. No, I told you so. Just warmth. You glance at Peter again, remembering what brought him here, his bold promises, his fear, the denial that rang out in a dark courtyard, not once, but 3 times. I don't know the man, and yet here he is. And Jesus, he breaks the bread, offers it to Peter, then gently asks Peter, "Do you love me?" Peter's voice cracks. "Yes, Lord, you know I do." Jesus nods. "Feed my sheep," again. Jesus asks, and again, 3 times for 3 denials, not to shame him, but to restore. You realize something. Each question isn't a test. It's a healing. Peter's past isn't being erased. It's being redeemed. Jesus looks at him not with disappointment, but with fierce tenderness. And then he turns to you. His eyes meet yours. He doesn't say your failures aloud, but somehow you know he's seen them all. Still, he asks, "Do you love me?" Not, "Did you get it all right?" Not, "Why did you mess up again?" Just, "Do you love me?" You whisper, "Yes," and everything in you breaks open. The regret, the shame, the hiding, all of it exposed, all of it washed in that simple question. He leans closer. "Then follow me." No punishment, no guilt trip, just an invitation to return. The wind shifts slightly. You feel lighter, not because you forgot what happened, but because he's no longer holding it against you. He didn't ask you to prove anything, just to love him and come back. Peter rises. He stands taller now, different, restored. And as you rise too, Jesus smiles. You are not disqualified. He says, I'm not finished with you. You take a step, then another. You and Peter walk beside him, not as perfect followers, but as loved ones, fully known, fully forgiven. There's a trail ahead, winding into the hills, a new morning, a new chapter. You turn once more toward the fire, its warmth still lingers. So does his mercy. You walk with him, barefoot in the sand, leaving shame behind, following grace. Somewhere along the way, you decided you were too broken to be loved. Maybe no one ever said it outright, but life did. In rejections, in betrayals, in the quiet exits of people who once swore they'd stay. And now, deep in your soul, the lie feels true. Even God couldn't love someone like me. So you keep your distance. You try to stay useful, polite, presentable, but not close. Because closeness means being seen. And to be seen is to be rejected, right? But tonight, Jesus draws you near, not to a temple or a mountain, but to a house. The light is dim as you step into the room. Laughter, food, conversation, but all of it fades when you see her. She's trembling, her eyes wet, her hands shaking as she breaks open a jar of perfume. The scent sweet, strong, scandalous fills the air. And suddenly, all attention is on her. You recognize the judgment in their eyes. She doesn't belong here. She shouldn't be touching him. She shouldn't even be seen. But Jesus doesn't flinch. He lets her come. She weeps uncontrollably as the oil pours over his feet. She wipes them with her hair. It's desperate, raw, real, and he welcomes it. A Pharisee mutters under his breath, disgusted. He were a prophet. He'd know what kind of woman this is. Jesus hears it, but instead of rebuking her, he speaks to him. She has been forgiven much. That's why she loves much. Then he turns to her and to you, kneeling beside her in the silence. And he says, "Your sins are forgiven." You inhale sharply. You didn't even realize you were holding your breath. He continues. Your faith has saved you. Go in peace. Go in peace, not in shame, not in fear, not in make yourself better first. Peace, because this love isn't earned, it's given freely, and for the first time in a long time, you believe it might actually include you. She's still weeping, but her tears have changed. They're no longer tied to shame, but to relief. You feel it, too. Like something locked deep inside your chest has finally broken open. You look at him. Jesus isn't disgusted. He isn't turning away. He saw it, all the story behind the story, the silent nights, the broken promises, the desperate choices, and still, he speaks to you. You are not beyond my love. You are not a mistake to be fixed. You are my beloved. You feel his words like oil over your soul, fragrant, healing, lasting. And in that moment, you stop trying to hide. You rise beside her, not ashamed, not invisible, but chosen, beloved. He opens the door of the house, and you step out with him. The perfume lingers. So does the peace. As you walk forward, something has changed, not around you, but inside. You no longer walk as someone hoping to be loved. You walk as someone already loved, and that changes everything. There's a part of you that never rests, not because you don't want to believe, but because you're afraid to. You've seen people leave, even those who promised they never would. So, deep down, there's a fear you barely say aloud. What if God does too? What if there's a limit? What if one day he looks at you differently, disappointed, done, distant? What if you've already gone too far, so you cling tight, but scared, always waiting for the day he'll let go? You don't want to be abandoned again. Jesus sees this ache in you, and without a word, he gently takes your hand. You feel a cold wind, the creak of iron. You open your eyes, stone walls surround you. Chains clink in the shadows. A candle flickers on a worn table. Jesus walks with you through the narrow cell. where a man sits cross-legged on the ground, old parchment in hand. His name is Paul, and he's writing, but his face doesn't match the prison around him. There is peace here, not the fragile kind, but the anchored kind. The kind that comes from knowing something unshakable. You kneel beside him, watch the ink flow. He doesn't seem rushed. Even here, wrongfully accused, isolated, abandoned by so many, Paul is still sure. And then he begins to read aloud the words he just wrote. I am convinced that neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, nor any powers, neither height nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus, our Lord. Romans 8:38. You close your eyes. The words wrap around your trembling heart. Nothing, not even your fear, not even your doubt, not even your past, not even your future, not even death. Nothing can separate you from his love. Jesus kneels beside you. He places his hand on your chest, where anxiety still stirs, even if you run. He whispers, my love runs faster. Even when you doubt, I stay. You try to speak, but you're undone, because deep down, this is what your soul was starving to hear, that you cannot out-sin, out-fail, or outdistance the love of God. That when he says, I'll never leave you, he doesn't flinch. You open your eyes again. Paul looks at you. He's seen so much suffering, and yet he is still sure. Jesus speaks again, steady and true. My covenant of peace will not be removed. Isaiah 54:10. And just like that, you begin to believe that this love is not like the others. It doesn't waver. It doesn't withdraw. It doesn't change when you change. It simply is, unfailing, undeserved, unstoppable. You breathe in slowly. It settles deeper than feelings. It roots in your spirit, truth planted like a tree that will not fall. He stays. He stays. You whisper it under your breath as you rise from the cold prison floor. He stays. The door of the prison creaks open, not in escape, but in freedom, not from a place, but into a promise, the promise that wherever you go, He is already there, that you are never alone in your doubts, your stumbles, your fears. As you and Jesus step back into the light, you feel it. An anchor, unseen but unbreakable, has wrapped itself around your soul, and it's not based on your grip on Him, but His grip on you. You look up. You can't see the whole path ahead, but for the first time, that's okay, because you're not walking it alone. You want to rest, not just sleep, but soul deep rest, the kind that reaches into your bones, the kind that lets you exhale, but rest feels impossible because life keeps demanding, because your mind won't slow down, because even in moments of stillness, you still carry the weight, and beneath it all, you quietly wonder, am I allowed to stop, Will? Everything fall apart if I do. Does God need me to keep striving, just to stay close? Jesus doesn't answer with words. He moves, and He invites you to follow. You're in an upper room now. The light is soft, warm. Shadows dance on the walls from small oil lamps. It's quiet, but not empty. You see the table, bread and wine, waiting. You see the disciples seated, confused, expectant, unaware of all that's coming. And then you see Him, Jesus, kneeling, washing feet, one by one. He moves along the room, hands wrapped in a towel, water splashing gently as He scrubs off the dirt, the dust, the shame of travel. Even Peter, even Judas, even the ones who will deny and betray Him. He doesn't skip anyone, including you. He looks up and sees you at the edge of the room, and with no hesitation, He beckons, "Come." You hesitate, your soul a mess of fatigue, guilt, and striving. But He insists, "Sit. Let me wash you." You kneel slowly, ashamed to bring dirty feet and a weary heart. But He's already pouring the water, already reaching for you. And as His hands touch your skin, the room stills. There's no hurry in Him, only care, tenderness. love. Tears sting your eyes, not because of the water, but because of the grace. How can he serve like this? You're the one who needs to do something, fix something. You should be trying harder. But he keeps washing, quietly, lovingly, as if your worth has nothing to do with your effort. He finishes, dries your feet, and looks up with a smile that silences all striving. Then he says, "Remain in my love." Just that. Not produce more. Not prove yourself. Just remain. You close your eyes, and for the first time in a long time, everything goes quiet. The voices that push you to perform, the lies that say you're only valuable when you're needed, the fear that if you stop, you'll disappear. All of it hushes in the presence of the one who already loves you. Not because of what you do, but because of who he is. You breathe in, not shallow, not rushed. A deep inhale, like your soul finally has permission to stop, to be, to rest. His love surrounds you like a blanket, warm and steady. You feel clean, not just outside, but inside. Like he's scrubbed away the grime that performance leaves behind. You're not earning your place at this table. You've already been given a seat, not as a servant trying to impress, but as a friend, dearly loved. Jesus rises now, and so do you. He reaches out his hand. "Let's go," he says. Together. There's still a road ahead. There always is. But this time, you'll walk it not as someone desperate to be enough. You'll walk it as someone already held, already loved, already home. This is the rest your soul was made for. Not an escape from life, but a return to love. And as you take his hand, you finally believe it. You are allowed to rest. And in him, you already have